Next, please join me in welcoming Dr. Rajendra Kumar, Secretary, Border Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India.
Thank you and very good morning to all my distinguished colleagues, invitees on the dais, all participants here. It's my pleasure to be present here on this occasion. I think the topic is very relevant in present context, AI for Viksit Bharat, because in today's times, AI has become the leading platform technology that is going to impact almost every sector, everything that we do, that you can imagine in the coming times, the coming years. And the impacts that we would see are going to come sooner than you think. In fact, if you see some of the predictions, for example, Ray Kurzweil, in his 2005 book, what is the name of the book? Anyone? It's a very famous book that he wrote way back in 2005. The Singularity is Near. That's the name of the book, in which he predicted that by 2029, AI would match human intelligence. And if you see the development that are happening at a rapid pace that we all are seeing, that in fact might happen earlier. He wrote another book last year. What is the name of that book? The Singularity is Nearer. The first book was Singularity is Near. The book that he wrote last year, 2024, the name is Singularity Nearer, in which he predicts that humans would merge with AI by 2045. And even that can happen earlier if you see the developments that are taking place by leading global players to develop superintelligence, which is aimed at surpassing the human intelligence. So it might happen even before 2045. So these are the times, these are the impacts that we already are witnessing. So when we talk about Viksit Bharat by 2047 and how we can use AI, so we can just imagine the kind of transformation that we can bring, because the AI's capabilities are enormous, and the developments happening today and in the time to come, they are going to only increase its impacts in almost everything that we do. But before we really understand how it can impact, we should first realize what is the vision of Viksit Bharat that we are talking about. So by 2047, what is the main goal of Viksit Bharat? What would be the size of the economy by then? Anyone? It's a very well talked about figure, so it's not something that is, obscure. Pardon? 30 trillion, yes. So that is the biggest task before us, before all of us, that Indian economy should grow to the size of 30 trillion by 2047. And in that growth, digital economy is going to play the biggest role that we must realize. What is the size of digital economy today? Pardon? That is the overall economy, 3.4 trillion, that is 4 trillion today. In 2025, our overall GDP is 4 trillion, which is going to rise to about 30 trillion in next 22 years. But in terms of digital economy, what is the size today? It's about 300 plus. So if you take the main parts of digital economy, the IT, ITS sector, the electronics manufacturing, etc., all put together, it's about roughly 300 billion plus. Now, this is about 11% of today's GDP. This has to rise to at least 25% in the next 22 years to really make us able to achieve that goal of 30 trillion GDP by 2047. So the size of digital economy has to grow to at least 25% of 30 trillion. That's 7.5 trillion by 2047. So just imagine the kind of transformation that we need to really bring from 300 billion digital economy today to 7 trillion plus in the next 22 years. Now, this scale of transformation has really not happened in the past in India. And this is the goal that we all need to achieve when we talk about Viksit Bharat by 2047. So how is it going to happen? Now, if you really see the roadmap that we should really have in mind for achieving this kind of transformation, then I think we can think of how we can plan and how we can really bring this kind of change. This is unprecedented, not only in India, but if we can achieve this, if we can really pull it off, we would be, I think, the best in the world and the first country in the world to really bring this transformation through digitalization on such a scale. So what do we need for this? First, when we talk about digital economy, first thing that comes to mind, also alluded to by the previous speakers, is to really have a world-class digital infrastructure in place. Today, we already are working on that and we have achieved quite a bit. We have now fiber reaching almost all the villages. And we have data center infrastructure also growing at a rapid pace. But what do we need to really use or deploy or develop AI-based applications, the LLMs, etc., and really make it useful in our context? We need to really establish AI-ready data centers. If you really see the worldwide picture today, most of these are located in US, next is China, and some in Europe. India is way behind. We have only, as per last figures, only 4 such facilities which are AI ready, having the kind of compute, the storage, the networking capability to really address the workloads that are demanded by the AI LLMs or AI applications. So this has to really change. We need to have AI ready data centers to really handle the kind of compute required for AI applications. Second, we need to really transform our digital governance. At present, most of the applications that we see for public services or in different domains, agriculture, health, education, etc., 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 those are all aimed at using IT or digital technology in the traditional way of somebody coming for requesting a service. You verify his identity, etc., etc. You make him pay some fees, and then you allow him access to that service. So this has to change. We have to move to a model of proactive governance, proactive digital governance, so that nobody is left behind, whether the person knows about his eligibility, his or her eligibility, or whether he applies. The government should be able to reach out to the person and say that these are the available schemes for you, available benefits for you, and you should be able to avail this. This kind of proactive governance can happen only with the deployment of AI-based applications in the different domains by government, by other stakeholders. So this is really required. And for this, what do we need to really make this happen? Allow all departments to develop AI use cases and deploy them at a scale. What we need is a unified AI stack. We don't expect all departments to really develop their own AI infrastructure, compute, etc., etc. We need a unified AI stack on the lines of a common digital infra, which all departments can then use to develop their use cases quickly and then deploy them in a quick time without really worrying about thinking of the entire AI stack. This common infra should be made available to all government agencies, all states, including even the private sector, if they are coming in partnership with the government to really make it happen. The third element, we need to really grow the digital economy to the level of, as I mentioned, current 300 billion plus to 7.5 trillion. How is that going to happen? We have now emerging sectors like electronics manufacturing, which is coming in a big way. This will help to grow the economy further. But the major benefits, the major increases in the size of the digital economy would come from digitalizing the traditional sectors. If you focus on agriculture, if you focus on health, if you focus on education, if you focus on manufacturing, if you focus on retail, these are the sectors where we need to really do a massive infusion of IT and digital to really make them more efficient, more productive. And this will allow the digital economy to really reach the level of 7.5 trillion that we should have in mind by 2047. Okay, fourth element, we need to focus on strategic and emerging technologies. As I mentioned, AI is one area. We have other areas also very important. Robotics. Today we have examples, case studies of factories in our neighboring countries running almost fully by robots, where you don't need human labor. Now there are huge implications that can develop in the times to come. But we need to be ready to really have that kind of systems in our own country as well to really compete at the global scale. We need to really think of skilling, re-skilling for our workforce so that we can address the issues of any employment that might arise. But then that is really one area where we need to focus upon. We need to develop IoT. We need to develop additive manufacturing, etc. To ensure that we can compete. We need to really do advanced communication equipments, 6G. So there are a host of areas where we need to really progress meaningfully to be able to grow our digital economy to the level that we need to achieve the vision of Viksit Bharat. Okay, the fifth element, we need to really modernize our digital laws. By that, what we mean? We need to address the concerns on data privacy. Because the moment you allow access to massive data sets from different domains to the stakeholders, either to industry or to government departments or to developers or to anyone, you will need to address the concerns on data privacy. We have the DPDP Act now in place. But then our IT Act, that is now 25 years old, that needs to be revamped to really allow us to modernize the entire digital, legal and regulatory framework to bring it in line with the current context and to really address the needs, the concerns that might arise in future. We already are seeing that. So data privacy is one. Second, accountability of online platforms, social media. How do you ensure that? The current laws are inadequate. The current regulatory framework are inadequate. How do you address the concerns on cybersecurity? So these are the areas where we need to address the concerns through a very modern legal and regulatory framework. The sixth element of this entire framework, which we need to really put in place to ensure that we can really achieve the vision of 2047 through digitalization, is to ensure that we are focusing massively on developing our talent. Already it has been mentioned by the previous speakers. I will not elaborate on this. But India needs to really become the talent and skill capital of the world. And only we can provide the workforce at a scale required to really assume global leadership in the advanced technologies. We already have done a lot of work, already spoken before by the speakers. I will not elaborate, but we need to really ensure that we have massive skilling at all levels in advanced technologies, including AI, to really make India the talent capital of the world that we have in mind. Okay, now let's just end with a few points about the use of AI in the domain that currently I'm handling, that is the border management. So in border management, again, the traditional approach has been that we secure the borders through physical measures. We put fencing, we develop road infra, we put troops there on the ground to ensure that the borders are really secured and managed. Now, in the coming time, we already are initiating several projects in this direction. We need to use technology to really ensure that borders can be managed effectively and without really, having to put a lot of force on the ground. Technology can help to really detect any movement from across the border. As you know, the challenges are cross-border infiltration, smuggling, etc., etc. All those can be checked through real-time collection of information intelligence from the ground by use of technology. We can deploy sensors, we can deploy cameras, we can deploy We can do networking of the entire infrastructure there to ensure that we can get information in real time about any kind of activity happening there. And then we can mount response in almost real time. Today, that is very difficult because by the time the information comes and by the time the response is mounted, there is a lag. And that gives time a window for that illegal activity or illegal attempt at infiltration to really become possible. That really has to be addressed. And this can be done only using technology. So as I mentioned, AI has a huge role to play in all the activities that we currently are doing. And in future, the impact of AI is only going to increase. And that gives us a very unique opportunity at this point of time, at this juncture, to really deploy this technology for achieving the vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir, for highlighting the key elements that we need for truly integrating and leveraging AI for a Viksit Bharat. Some of the areas highlighted by sir were skilling, data privacy, accountability, talent development, and ethical usage. Truly, these elements will play a key role if we want to integrate AI in every aspect of our development.